So, overall direction for single player in God of War Ascension. We're going back to a time before God of War 1 when Kratos was more of a man, more of a human, less of an angry demigod that was pissed at the gods and the gods aren't angry at him. And we're exploring in this story his quest to break a bond with the god Ares. So, initially, it seems like a pretty good deal. He's fighting the Barbarian King. The Barbarian King is going to kill him. He's going to die. He calls out to Ares. Ares is going to save him. And by that act alone, he's now made a deal with the devil. And in this game, we're going to explore these crazy environments, this mythology, where he has to go back and break this bond that he's made with Ares. And Ares himself is not going to be the main antagonist. There's going to be these creatures called the Furies. And the Furies they have the same level, if not more power than the gods themselves. They're kind of like gods, but they're not. And if somebody was to break a bond with a god, the Furies would be the first to be involved with it. If somebody was to wrong a god, they would deal with it. And Kratos is basically going to have to deal with them throughout this adventure. Where we're at in our single-player story that we're showing you today is we're about halfway through his adventure, where Kratos has found the thing that he needs to defeat the Furies, and he's on his quest, and he's acquired a couple of abilities along the way. He's gotten a little bit more powerful than when he first started, and we're going to explore the island of Delos and all of its mysteries as he moves forward in his quest to defeat the Furies and break his oath with the god Ares. The human side of Kratos and what we're trying to get across in this game is that he's not just an angry guy that the only reason he does stuff is completely out of rage. But when he does start God of War 1, he is mad and he's cursing at the gods and he's got these nightmares. But he didn't start that way. So for us, we can look at him as a human and go, what's going to make him snap? How does somebody get to be that point where I'm so angry at the gods that what causes that to happen? The players, our fans, will be able to see, they play this game, what he went through and why he did it. What we'd like to get is an understanding of why he went through what he did. And that's what the goal of the story will be. We want Kratos to feel responsive, as always, fluid, as always. The animation's brilliant. But you want to have a different level of refined nature, essentially, to how he moves and the stuff that he does, because this is early on. He's not completely polished in how he doesn't flick his pinky finger and the guy dies. He has to go through a little bit more labor, a little bit more work in order to defeat some of the creatures. And lending more to the man side of things is that when he's fighting against a creature, there will be elements where the creature gets the upper hand and you're fighting back to try to stay alive, versus him always having the upper hand. As well as the world interaction. He's not just going to stab his blades through everything or destroy it to move his way through. He's going to have to manipulate it or climb around it using his hands in order to get through the spaces. And it's not just going to power through everything like maybe he had done in some of the previous games. So the challenge with creating a new ability, first and foremost, you want it to be fun. I want to have an ability that also feels like it belongs to Kratos. And that means that it has an interaction in the world layer, but it also has an interaction in the combat layer, so that we can get all of our pillars covered. We can get our navigation pillar covered, our puzzle pillar covered, and then we can get our combat pillar covered. And if we're using that item or that ability in combat, boom, got that one down, right? So what we're showing here in the life cycle is this life cycle has puzzle elements associated with it, where you can manipulate objects and you can make them they can decay and go backwards in time, or they can become pristine. And then they have these different points where they stop. And what that allows us to do is, if you can keep it at a stop point, Kratos could maybe navigate on them and you can climb around on the spot where it's, like in this instance, there's this, scaffolding, and the scaffolding, when it's just floating in space, you can still climb on it. So we're navving on it. But you can anticipate us using this not just as a navigation mechanic, but as a puzzle. Because maybe Kratos would need to move something and use this ability to make things decay or become pristine. And we could use that in a puzzle scenario, so that would cover that base. And then in combat, Kratos got this from somewhere or somebody. He got this ability. He didn't just walk into the game with it. So imagine that the usage in combat, and you see here, is it'll slow guys, launch them up into the air, and buys Kratos time when he's fighting against hordes of guys, or even a powerful guy that he needs to slow down in order to get the upper hand in combat with him. I think In order to make a good ability, you have to, for our combat designers, what we do is we go through a million great ideas and we distill it and keep iterating until we're down to one great idea. And that's what we really, really polish and focus and work on. And that's the only way to do it, because anybody can try to do 1,000 things. It's really hard to do one thing good. The finishers that we do encompass multiplayer, they encompass single player as well. And I think, you know, when I started, the finishers were all one button press, and then we started to evolve the tech side of things, where we got zipper tech, and we were modeling the interiors or guts of creatures. And now what we've done in this game is we wanted to take those CS moments where you have the button mini games. I think the animators and the combat designers wanted to create an experience that felt exactly like when you're fighting a guy. So our circle button now becomes this thing that when you're playing and you go pull weapons from enemies or find them in the world, we can dedicate that face button to that weapon. Like maybe you pick up a club world weapon and you do square square instead of going triangle, which is the classic. You square square circle, and you get a different combo move if you're carrying the club, or if you're carrying the sword, or if you're carrying the javelin. As a designer, that's really exciting, because we have this whole huge move set that you've never been able to play with. That's really awesome because it combines two different weapons together in one combo. So that's really, really exciting.